Just last month, Charisma News reported that 11 missionaries in Syria were captured by ISIS. When asked if they had renounced Islam for Christianity, unanimously the missionaries said yes. The rebels then asked them if they wanted to return to Islam. Once again, the answer was unanimous. All 11 missionaries said that they would never renounce Jesus Christ. All of the missionaries were then badly brutalized and crucified. They were left on their crosses for 2 days, as no one was allowed to take them down. At the same time, there were 8 other missionaries, 2 women and 6 men, who were taken into another village, once again by ISIS, and they were asked the same set of questions. After giving the same responses as the first 11, the 2 women were then taken into the public square, where they were publicly raped and beaten furiously. Ultimately, both women and all 6 men were all beheaded. Sadly, we hear these stories almost on a daily basis all around the world. But we can make a difference in helping Christian refugees all around the world. As a Christian myself, I am constantly praying for my fellow believers and for those Christians that are being persecuted for their faith. Daily, we see our faith rights being stripped away. No longer do we have the religious freedom that we once did. Christians in countries such as Iraq and Syria are being persecuted and killed for their faith in Jesus Christ. But despite the majority of these tragedies occurring overseas, there are ways in which we can help here in the United States. You do not have to simply be a spectator of the news. You can play a vital role in saving the life of someone else. As I said, there are Christians all around the world that are being persecuted and killed daily for their faith in Jesus Christ. There are organizations that target people based solely on their religious beliefs, and specifically their beliefs in Jesus Christ. Al-Qaeda, for example, is a global militant Islamist organization which was founded by the late Osama bin Laden. ISIS, as I said, we hear that every day in the news, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. While ISIS is currently the most influential and by far the most dangerous, they are not the only ones. Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, the list can go on and on. There are far too many rebels out there that want to kill Christians simply because they do not believe in the same God. But despite the majority of these tragedies occurring overseas, there are things that we can do to help here in the United States. First, and probably most important, we must pray. We must be diligent in our prayers. We must pray for the safety of the persecuted refugees. We must pray for those who are trying to make a stand for what they believe. We must pray for those who are trying to share their faith with others, because they have that right. In the Bible, in Matthew chapter 21, verse 22, it says, "Whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." So I'd like to suggest to you that there's one more thing you could do. You could give to the Nazarene Fund. The Nazarene Fund is an initiative of the nonprofit Mercury One Group dedicated to the evacuation of particularly vulnerable Christians from countries like Iraq and Syria into new countries where they might rebuild their lives. Donations given to the Nazarene Fund will be used to resettle Christian families who have been displaced by conflict in the Middle East, primarily at the hands of ISIS. You do not have to simply be a spectator of the news. You can play a vital role in saving the life of someone else today. How many times have you seen or heard about a problem and you wanted to do something, but you simply didn't know how to help? Perhaps you thought to yourself, I'm just one person. How could I possibly help anyone? There's an old adage that says silence is agreement. That by doing nothing, you are essentially saying that all of the torture and murder is okay. But it's not. So here is your chance to stand up and be heard. Here is your chance to help a family in desperate need. The Bible also says in Acts chapter 20, verse 35, that you must help the weak. And remember the words of the Lord Jesus that he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. So won't you please go to now.mercury1.org. There's no set amount, so you're free to give as little or as much as you choose. Won't you please go and donate today? As I said, there are Christians in countries all around the world that are being persecuted and killed for their faith in Jesus Christ. Despite the majority of these tragedies occurring overseas, they are now making their way here in the United States. Just a few days ago, we heard of another tragedy in Oregon. But you don't have to be a spectator of the news. You can play a vital role in saving the life of somebody else. So please go to now.mercury1.org and donate today.